Good evening. Welcome to Discover Tinley Park. My name is Reta Brudd, and I'm sitting in for Ron Santani, who's out exploring Peru and the ruins from the Incan Indians this month. We wish him well and hope he'll be back next month. But my guests today, as you may have guessed from the sign that you just saw, are members from the Tinley Park S.A.L.T group. My first guest is Tinley Park officer Debbie Schmidt.
Hello.
And Debbie, tell me a little bit about what S.A.L.T is. I mean, give me some history on how S.A.L.T came to be.
Well, I'd say about 5-6 years ago, might even been more than that, I had gone to a meeting with other crime prevention officers, and we had talked about how seniors are an untapped resource. You know, they have years of experience, and now they want to use it, but they're not doing anything. So we thought there's got to be a way to get a bunch of seniors together so that we can work with them. And I talked with some county police, and we said, hey, let's start a senior academy. So we put together a senior academy, and after the senior academy, we took all our graduates and made the S.A.L.T Council.
What was the senior academy?
I knew you were going to ask that. The senior academy, we basically highlight all different aspects of criminal justice. We had our students sit in, and once a week for 11 weeks, we would have a speaker.
Long time.
Yeah. It's a long time, but they hated to see it end. And we would have, like, the chief would talk about police and ethics. We would have the crime scene analysis. We'd have one of our detectives explain how they go to a crime scene and get all the evidence. We had our canine there.
CSI Tinley Park.
Yeah, and that was way before CSI. But, yeah, we just had all kinds of interesting programs each week for them, and after the 11th week, we had a graduation ceremony, and we invited them to join our S.A.L.T.
Great. And S.A.L.T does stand for Seniors and Law Together.
Yes.
I'll get that. My other two guests with me tonight are Corinne Deinert, and Corinne's a very well-known person around town, has given many years of volunteer, both in the Park District, Oktoberfest, and also Letty Moore. Now, Letty is the president of the S.A.L.T, the current president, and Corinne, I understand you're membership chairman. So I'm going to ask Letty first. We'll hit you with a harder question. What is S.A.L.T to you? I mean, tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in S.A.L.T, and what you see it.
How I got involved in S.A.L.T. Well, I really heard about it, and I thought I'd go to the academy. I went to the police academy, and it is the most wonderful thing you ever went to.
So you're a charter member?
Not quite.
No,
not quite. I was the second second graduating class, and but it's the most enlightening class to go to. Everybody enjoys it. If you go to it, you will come away from it really enlightened on law enforcement. It's really a wonderful thing. And then after that, we were invited to, I graduated, and we were asked to join S.A.L.T, and we meet once a month at the police department, and we have a meeting. And all the graduates, you have to be a graduate of the police academy in order to belong to S.A.L.T. And you have to be 55 years old.
Young.
No, not young.
55 young. Well, Corinne, since you're membership chairman, why don't you tell us a little bit about the requirements and how somebody could get involved in this?
Well, it's really almost mainly, I think, by word of mouth. Debbie, at all the meetings, encourages those who are in attendance. The S.A.L.T meetings, which are usually the first Monday of the month. And she encourages us to talk, because most of the people belong to other senior groups, to talk to your friends and acquaintances and encourage them to sign up. And then when what do you have to get, about 15 people?
At least 15 for the class.
And before she runs a class. And then as membership chairman, we have an attendance sheet. And what I try to do about every 2 months is go through, and anybody who's missed 3 or 4 meetings, I call them to find out if they could possibly be ill. Was there any reason why they couldn't attend the meeting? And it's just a real good PR tool to let these people, because many of them live by themselves and some of them are very alone, to let them know that somebody's concerned about them.
Okay. Letty, it's going to go back to you for a second. Why SALT? Why would you want to get involved with this?
Well, it's a wonderful organization. It's very helpful to the seniors, and we have wonderful speakers that help the seniors learn about being victimized and about crime, and we help in the community. We're serving our community. We have done things to help. We help with the telephoning when the weather is bad. We have a regular a group that calls, and if the weather's bad, we tell them what to do and where to go.
Like in a hurricane.
In a hurricane.
We better not have a hurricane.
Snow,
no electricity, the extreme heat without electricity.
Or if there is really a bad something happen in the community, then they will take care of calling the people. That's one thing. We help with some of the community things. We help with Discover Tinley, which everybody loves to go to Discovery Tinley. And when we ask for volunteers, we don't have a hard time getting volunteers for Discover Tinley. And we help with the parades. And we do other things that we do some mailings for the police department. And we've helped with these babies' infant seats when Debbie has inspection of the seats, why some members of SALT will go out and help her do that. So we help in the community, and then we have the meeting, so we are informed of some of the things that is happening in the community and how we can help our neighbor benefit from our going to SALT and finding out how to take care of ourselves so we won't be victimized.
Okay. Corinne, I'm going to put you on the spot a little here. Has there been something that you learned in SALT that you've had the ability to use, or that some of the knowledge you got from there turned into a positive event for you that you maybe had to put to use? Some of your information you learned or that?
Oh, I can. Oh, I have one.
Okay.
Not that I can think of.
Okay. I had an experience, and if I hadn't gone to SALT, I wouldn't have known what to do. But a man came to my door. I never saw the man. He was a Mexican man, and he asked me what that trailer was doing in my yard, if I wanted to sell it. I said, no, I don't want to sell it, but I want to get rid of it. And he said, well, could he have it? And I said, yes. And so he came and took it away. Well, about 2 weeks later, he came back with I got the title signed, I got everything taken care of, and I gave him a cup. 2 weeks later, he came to my door and knocked on my door, and we wanted me to sign this paper. And I said, well, you got the title. There's no need for me. And I got kind of worried, and I thought, oh, I got to be careful here. So I got in my car, and I went up and took the paper to Debbie. And I had Debbie look at it, and she said, well, I think he's all right, but we'll check it out. So you see, I learned not to be careful when you give out papers. And I was careful. I did not give him anything that I shouldn't have given him. I had the paper signed at the bank, and everything was taken care of. But he wanted me to sign a paper saying that that he couldn't find the title. Well, that's his problem, not mine. I gave him a title. So I don't know what he was going to do with it, but I learned a lesson.
But because of your exposure,
I learned
you to be careful and hesitant.
Who comes to your door? And Debbie's been kind of drilling that into us now these last couple of months, that be careful when people come to the door and say they'll do your lawn for so much, or they'll blacktop your blacktop. Be careful, because they're not always on the up and up.
Our whole program is kind of twofold. I try to help them by giving them knowledge of either scams or frauds. And even we've had people in there talking about wills and how that they can be safe with their own finances. But they help us out at the police department immensely. They come in, some of them come in and make calls, some of them they file, they do all kinds of things for us, so we need them, and
but we're glad to do it. We really enjoy it.
It's been 6 years, you said?
I'd say about 6 years.
And how many people do you have as members in SALT?
About 65.
Okay, and so you've picked up quite a few people over the years.
Oh,
And
yes.
do you have a lot of people who have been around from the first class?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We have some from the first class. We've had more people come through our academy, but for one reason or another, they can't make the meetings on a monthly basis. So our attendance at our meetings and our meeting list has kind of gone, up and down, up and down.
Well, our people are old, too, and some of them have deceased. We've lost some members, and some of them had to move into homes, and so that takes down membership.
Yeah. And sometimes they're not able to drive anymore, and there's nobody able to pick them up. So there's various reasons.
It fluctuates.
Well, you have a whole lot of new baby boomers coming up.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully retirement will be sometime in the future.
Well, Debbie runs an academy every year, and like I say, if people would really go to it, they would really enjoy it. It's the most enlightening thing I've ever been to.
On an average, about how many people do you have in a class?
15 to 20.
Is there a limit? Or?
I don't like to go more than 20 because we do take them on field trips. Like we go to Markham Court and they get to talk with the judge. And I don't want to have too many people. It's a little hard to
You took them to the
do.
firing range this time, and you didn't take our class.
Yeah,
You didn't take
I
ours
got to make
either.
up for the other class to go to the firing range. But we are having another class this September.
Don't let
So-
Letty have a gun.
No. It's a mechanical thing. They don't use real guns. It's a laser. It's a laser.
But we didn't even have that when the first few classes didn't have that.
Is this a program that's unique to Tinley Park?
No, but we are the first one to have it.
Great.
We started with the Cook County Sheriffs, like I said. We put the program together. We were the pilot. And now many communities have a senior academy. Some of them even expanded it to Citizen Academy. I wasn't able to do that, didn't see many people interested in it. Tried a youth academy and just had one class again, didn't see the need, But the seniors, I usually have a waiting list.
Yes.
Well, Letty and Corinne, really appreciate you coming out and talking to us about SALT. I've seen the program around, but I didn't really know much about it before tonight.
I might say we have shirts, too, volunteer shirts. And we're in the process of changing shirts right now, so you might see more than one different color. But this was the original shirt. And this is the Trinidad, and the name was on them. But now
And
we're
the
changing.
Trinidad is what? Corinne?
This is the Tinley Park from the sign.
Yes, and that stands for the National Sheriff's
National
Association,
Sheriffs.
Illinois Chiefs of Police, and ARP,
Yeah.
working together.
Yes.
Together, SALT means
Seniors and
Law
law
enforcement
enforcement.
together.
Well, I really appreciate you coming out, and we're going to visit a little more with Debbie in a bit and talk about some of your other jobs. You have a lot of different roles in the
Lot of
police
hats.
department.
too
Thank-
many.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we're back now with Debbie Schmidt, our officer from the police department. And as I said, Debbie has many different roles in the Tinley Park Police Department. Overseeing the SALT program is one. But what is your main role, Debbie, and how long have you... Tell us a little bit how you got involved in being a police officer, because I know that wasn't a lifelong
No.
career goal for you.
No, it wasn't. It's very strange. The neighborhood I was in, there was a little bit of a problem with some kids, and I happened to call the police department and talked with Gene Clemick, who was the crime prevention officer at the time, and talked with him about what can we do about these kids. I'm kind of tired of it. And in talking with him, he told me about the Neighborhood Watch program. And I found out all what was involved in it and that he was doing it all by himself. I said, I've got time. I'll come over. I'll help.
Long words
Yeah,
to say
I know.
in this town.
I know, volunteer. So I did. I volunteered for, a couple of years and helped him out. And finally I said, I really like this. Gene, I really would like to do what you do. And he says, well, go ahead. Why don't you be one of our part-time officers? Never, ever thought of doing it, but okay. And I did. I was a part-time officer, and I helped Gene, and then Gene made sergeant. And now it was like, okay, who's going to be the crime prevention officer? So Debbie, me. So the chief at that time said, okay, we'll go ahead. I got a different title. I was the community service officer, and hung up my gun, still kept the badge, and it's all history. Been doing it since. I started volunteering in '87.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
And when did you become full-time on the force?
Full-time was actually 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
part-time. I was
Now,
doing it part-time.
A couple of years ago, maybe 2 years, maybe a little less, you won a magnificent award that brought honor not only to Tinley Park and the police department, but to yourself.
Right.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
That was a few years back, and
You were just part-time at the
I
time.
was, right.
Great.
And at that time was Chief Wade, and he had put me in for a national award through the Foundation for Improvement of Criminal Justice, I believe the name of it was. And I won. I was one of, I believe, 4 people across the nation, and I received a beautiful gold pendant. I got a trip to Atlanta, and I got $10,000.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was a big shock.
And it didn't have to go to the village or to the police
No,
department.
because that's
It
what
was
I
yours.
thought it was going to do, but according to the foundation, it is not to be used towards the program. It's to be given to the person who did all the work. And they said I did all the work, which I did, so.
Well, I hope you and your husband had a really enjoyable...
We were building a house at that time, so
Perfect timing.
yes.
Tell us all that you do, which I know you have peer jury and block homes and neighborhood watch and
Right.
probably more.
Right. There's quite a few. Neighborhood Watch is our biggest program. That does take a lot of my time. We have approximately 210 block captains, and the majority of them deliver our monthly newsletter to the residents in their area. And as you can see by our map, we have, I believe it's 39 different neighborhoods.
The sign on the bottom here, that's
That's the sign that goes in the neighborhood. Once you become a neighborhood involved with the program, you will get these signs in your neighborhood so that we will let people know that your neighborhood is being watched. If anybody decides that they're going to try to do anything in your neighborhood, our neighbors will call the police. So that's why now, does it work? I don't know. I haven't talked to a burglar who told me that they were scared away. But it's a great program. We have our monthly newsletters, which give people an idea of what's going on in our town. They can see that it's a pretty good town to live in, but it's not the Garden of Eden. You still have to lock your doors.
That's right. Now, the map you started talking about, what are all those lovely colors?
Well, the colors,
the red dots and...
I just was getting a little creative. The colors are just there so that you can distinguish the different neighborhoods, because each neighborhood has a different name. And the dots are just the numbers telling me, like number 7 is Bristol Park. Number
That's the easy
8,
one, it's round.
right, that's the easiest one. So, and 8 is Brookside Glen. So each one has a different name.
And the numbers just differentiate the name.
Right,
And
right.
you said you had 210 block captains?
Yes.
Now, am I correct in assuming that only the colored areas have block captains? So you still have
Exactly.
quite a bit of an area to...
Right. We have
Recruit
a lot of,
to.
exactly, a lot of open areas throughout the map. Tinley Park is not totally covered by the Neighborhood Watch program. Of course, if anybody wanted to get it started, they have to contact me at the police department. But I do need a significant number of people interested. I can't do it for one person who wants to get it in the neighborhood, because every day I work on the Neighborhood Watch program. It's a tedious job, but it's a good program.
Well, what's involved for a neighborhood to get involved? I mean,
They contact me, they let me know that they want to have this information. I send them out a packet, and they have to talk to their neighbors. They have to find out who wants to be involved in it, because I need people to be able to deliver the newsletters for me. And I need people to be willing to be my liaison. Something happens in their neighborhood, and I need the residents there to know about it. I want to be able to call my block captain and say, hey, this happened. I want you to contact your neighbors so that we can get that news out. And also, I'm there for them. Our block captains, they can call me at any time if they have any problems.
And the newsletter, you use it to, what kind of information goes into your newsletter? It goes out once a month?
It goes out once a month, and what I do is I pull all the calls for the neighborhoods that are involved. I pull them out of our log of all the calls received at the police department. Now, I don't put all of them in. I don't put in animal calls or domestics or ambulance calls, but I only put in things that I think that might be of interest criminal-wise to the residents, like suspicious vehicles. Okay, because how do I know that that didn't have a tie-in to a crime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and a lot of times, too, is one time in particular, I had a resident notice in our neighborhood watch that there was a burglary in his neighborhood. And he just so happened to have found a student ID in his backyard. And lo and behold, that ID
led you to
who did it, yes. So it works. The program works.
And I'm assuming that it also trains these people to be more observant, whether in their own neighborhood or anywhere in town.
Exactly. Exactly.
Have there been any statistics to prove out the use of the neighborhood watch?
Well, just the fact of people calling saying, I seen this in the neighborhood watch, and I happen to have seen this. And I wanted to give you this information. It's also my way of reminding people, hey, you got to lock those car doors when they're parked in the driveway. You got kids walking up and down the street helping themselves to your change in the ashtray and what else is laying in there. So in a way, it's my learning tool to get out to the residents. It's happened in your neighborhood. Don't you be a victim.
Well, makes sense. Now, that takes up a lot of your time.
Yes.
But I know you have several other large programs,
right.
too.
I go to the schools. I talk to the kids about strangers. And we have a block home program, and this is the sign for the block home program. And what it is when I go to the schools.
I've seen them around town.
Okay. I go to the schools, and I tell the kids that if you see this sign in a window, mm-hmm. if you're lost or if you need help, you could go to any house with the sign, and the person there will call the police.
So that would be a home where normally people would be home during the day?
No, and a lot of people feel that way, but the kids aren't really out during the day, well, except in the summer. But in the winter time, when the kids are out, it's in the evening and the weekends. So I have a lot of people say, well, I work during the day, I can't have a sign. No, you can have a sign, because the kids aren't out during the day. Except in the summer.
Do they only put the sign out when they're home, or is it
all the
there
time?
All the time.
Put it out there till it cracks, and I give you a new one.
Well,
Okay.
I've seen them around town. Now, what about peer jury? Are you still
Peer
working
jury.
on that?
Yeah, I work on the peer jury program, and
Tell us a little bit about that. I had the privilege of watching one.
Oh, okay.
And it was
what it is,
absolutely fascinating.
It's for first-time juvenile offenders who have been in trouble with the police for the very first time. If they've been in trouble constantly, they're not offered this program. But what we want to do is, if they're the first-time offender, they're in the wrong place, the wrong time, we don't want them to have to go through the Markham Court and not learn from their experience.
The stigma of getting into the system.
Right. So what we do is they sit before, or I should say stand, before our jurors who are volunteers from the local schools, and they have to explain what they did and why they did what they did. And our jurors make them think about what they did wrong. And then afterwards, they're given so many hours of community service that they have to do. And they have to return in a month with those hours done.
And I know the time I was there, they also had to write these huge essays.
Right. They can either...
A lot of homework.
Well, that's it, because we want them to think about what they did. We want them to really be sorry for what they did wrong. Because remember, this is the first time they did something wrong. We don't want a second time.
And it seems to be working.
Yeah, we have a really good history. Not many of the kids get in trouble again.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a good program.
Have we missed any of your programs?
Oh, there's tons of them.
Tons of them. We have about a minute or so.
Okay. I do home security surveys. If somebody wants to make sure that their house is secure, you can give me a call. I'll make an appointment. I'll come out. I'll check your lighting, your landscaping, your locks, your windows. One of the biggest things
How do people get hold of you?
Oh, call the police department at...
Not at 911.
No, please. It's 708-532-9111. And I will be glad to do it. And another big program I have, I do car seat checks. If you have an infant or a toddler seat in your car and you're not sure if it's right, I'm willing to check it and help you install it correctly.
Yeah, because they seem almost too simple to install. I've moved one around and that, but if they're not in there right, they don't work.
Exactly.
And we have, for grandparents or aunts or uncles, somebody who may not have had the instructions and gone through some training, I think they'd give the new parents.
Took me 4 days to learn how to do it. I wasn't sure about that, so 4 days to put in a car seat, give me a break. But
well, when you do the checks, do you get a lot of people?
I do. People call, make an appointment with me. I check it, and I'd say maybe 1 out of 10 is right.
Well, Debbie, it sounds like what you're doing is a lot more than just one full-time job.
I know.
And we really appreciate having you here in Tinley and for taking the time this evening to come out and talk with us.
Oh, I enjoy being here.
Because it's been very interesting, and I hope everybody, again, if you want to get hold of Debbie, if you have questions on anything she's talked about or the SALT program, 532-9111. 9111, and ask for Officer Debbie Schmidt. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we encourage you to come back and visit us again next month when we'll be showing a special on the Korean War, and it'll be an hour-long show for the month of August. Thank you, and good night.